I slammed the resignation letter on the mahogany desk, the paper crumpling like a gunshot in the sterile silence of that corner office overlooking the Hudson. Secretary material, Evelyn had sneered earlier that afternoon in the executive washroom, her Botox-smooth lips curling as she eyed my sensible pumps and pencil skirt, implying I was just arm candy waiting to be typed into oblivion. But the real bomb I dropped wasn't the quit notice. It was the flash drive I tossed after it, loaded with emails proving her husband had been skimming client funds for years. And I'd been the idiot who'd buried the evidence to save his ass. You see, I'd loved him once. Not in that Hallmark card way, but in the gritty, late-night Wall Street grind where ambition blurs into something darker.
Richard Hale.
My boss at Hale and Associates, a mid-tier investment firm clawing its way up from the ashes of the '08 crash. He was the silver fox with the Yale drawl, the one who spotted me fresh out of Columbia Business School, poached me from Goldman with promises of partnership tracks and corner offices. "You're my secret weapon, Gemma," he'd whisper over bourbon shots after closing deals, his hand lingering a beat too long on my knee. I told myself it was mentorship. Hell, in this city, that's what we called it. But love?
Nah.
That was a lie I fed myself to justify the compromises. The first one came 6 months in, when Richard's trades started looking off. Not illegal. Not yet, just aggressive enough to skirt the edges of SEC regs. I flagged it in a late-night audit, my heart pounding as the numbers danced like red flags in a bull run. He caught me in his office the next morning.
Door locked.
Blinds drawn. "Gemma.
Kiddo.
You gotta understand, the market's a beast. We feed it, or it eats us." His eyes, those damn piercing blues, pleaded. And I caved. Tweaked a few entries, reclassified some risks. Small stuff. The kind of team player move that gets you a bonus and a pat on the back. Evelyn entered the picture like a storm cloud over the Hamptons. She wasn't just the trophy wife, she was the power player, the one who'd bankrolled half the firm's seed money from her daddy's real estate empire. Socialite sharp, with a Rolodex of senators and a smile that could close a merger or gut a rival. I met her at the holiday gala, all crystal chandeliers and caviar canapes at the plaza. She glided over in a sheath dress that screamed old money, appraising me like I was the help. "Richard's little protégé," she cooed, clinking her champagne flute against mine. "So ambitious. Just don't let it go to your head,
dear.
Not all of us are cut out for the big leagues." That was the first barb. Over the years, they multiplied. Whispers in boardrooms about my aggressive style, snide comments at firm retreats about how I lacked the polish for client-facing roles. But I swallowed it, ground my teeth through the glass ceilings, because Richard made it worth it. Promotions came slow, but steady. Senior analyst by year 3, VP by 5. I was the firm's golden girl, the one who pulled all-nighters to salvage bad bets, who charmed the whales into wiring millions. And in return, his late-night texts. "Need you?
Gee.
Come over." I'd slip into his brownstone on the Upper East Side, Evelyn conveniently at the spa in Aspen, and we'd fuck like the world was ending.
Raw.
Desperate. The kind of sex that leaves bruises and regrets. The betrayal hit like a margin call in a crash. It was 2 years ago, during the crypto boom. Richard's pet project, a high-risk altcoin fund he'd hyped to every hedge fund contact. I warned him. The volatility chart screamed bubble. But he pushed, over-leveraged, and when it popped, 500 million in client losses. The SEC came knocking, subpoenas flying like confetti at a funeral. Richard panicked.
Pinned it on me.
You signed off on the risk assessments.
Gemma.
Your models.
Lies.
I'd begged him to dial it back. But he'd overridden. Dated my dissent memo June 15th to make it look like approval. I could have fought it. Lawyered up. Gone public. But he played the card. Our affair. Think about it.
Kid.
The headlines. Wall Street vixen frames boss for fraud. Evelyn's doing. No doubt, she'd always suspected. Had PIs tailing him.
So, I took the hit.
Pleaded to a misdemeanor. Paid a fine that drained my savings. Stepped down from VP to consultant role. The firm survived. Richard got a slap on the wrist and a new yacht. I got sidelined, fetching coffee for the brothers who high-fived over my grave. That's when the hate crystallized. Not hot rage, but cold, diamond-hard resolve.
I started documenting.
Every shady wire transfer. Every off-books bonus to silence whistleblowers. The flash drive? My insurance policy. But quitting? That was theater.
Pure.
Unadulterated fuck you drama. The boardroom erupted after I stormed out. I could hear it through the glass walls as I grabbed my box of desk junk, framed MBA diploma. That go-doffel stress ball shaped like the Statue of Liberty.
Shouts.
Accusations. Richard's voice cracking. Gemma. Wait, let's talk. But I didn't. Elevator down to the lobby. Past the security desk where the guard nodded like he knew. Out into the December slush of Broad Street. The wind whipping my coat like applause. My phone blew up before I hit the subway. Text from colleagues. WTF, Gemma? You just nuked Hale. Calls from reporters I'd tipped anonymously weeks ago. By midnight, the Post had it splashed online. Investment queen quits in scandal. Boss's dirty secrets exposed. I holed up in my walk-up in Brooklyn. A shoebox with leaky pipes and a view of the projects. Nursing a bottle of cheap Merlot. Sleep?
Nah.
I paced, replaying Evelyn's face when I'd cornered her in the hall post-resignation. Secretary material? Honey, I'm the one who kept your husband's empire from crumbling while you played step forward in the suburbs.
And now?
Everyone knows why. Because the truth wasn't just the skim. It was the affair with my best friend.
Sarah.
The one I'd roomed with in grad school. The bubbly psych major who'd crashed into finance like a drunk Uber. She'd started interning at Hale a year after me, wide-eyed and eager. Richard noticed. How could he not? Blonde, bubbly, the anti-me. One night, post-closing drinks at PJ Clark's. She confessed over Cosmos. Gemma. I slept with him. Him. Richard. In his office. On the very desk where he'd sweet-talked me into silence. I laughed it off then. Girl.
He's a dog.
Water under the bridge. But inside, shredded. Because I'd covered for her too, fudged her performance reviews when she bombed presentations. Loaned her rent money when her side hustle tanked. And for what? She became his side piece. The one he paraded as junior analyst prodigy, while I scrubbed toilets metaphorically. The emails on the drive? Not just Richard's fraud. Hers too, insider tips texted from his burner phone. Trades timed to her intuitive hunches. Quitting wasn't revenge. It was the opening act. The fallout hit like a nor'easter. By week 1, Hale and Associates was hemorrhaging clients. Old money widows pulling funds. Tech bros shorting the stock. Richard called daily, voice oily with desperation. Gemma, this is insane. Come back, we'll make you partner. For real this time. Evelyn, radio silence. But I knew she was pulling strings. Her social media purge started. Old gala pic scrubbed.
LinkedIn bio nutat to philanthropist.
Sarah ghosted me, then blocked. Cowards. All of them. I didn't wallow. Revenge is a full-time job, and I was unemployed. First move, lawyered up with a shark from Midtown. The kind who eats SEC chairs for breakfast. We filed a wrongful termination suit, citing gender discrimination and retaliation. The secretary material comment? Gold. Recorded on my phone. Evelyn's voice dripping venom in that powder room echo. We filed. My attorney, Carla, said over Zoom, her cat-eye glasses glinting. They'll settle for 7 figures. But if you want blood, leak more. Tempting. But I played long game. Went freelance, consulting for boutique firms in the Flatiron District. Days blurring into Excel sheets and cold calls, nights in dive bars off with Avenue, nursing IPAs and plotting. That's where I met Jax, the tattooed coder with a grudge against big finance. Heard about your Hail Mary, he said, sliding onto the stool beside me, his sleeve inked with circuit boards and fallen angels. Wanna hack their servers? For fun. Fun. Yeah.
We did.
Nothing illegal, well. Gray area. Jax scripted a backdoor through their outdated CRM, pulled metadata on every exec email. Buried in the dregs. Evelyn's secret. Not just complicit in the skim, she'd orchestrated it. Divorce-proof clauses in their prenup tied her payouts to firm profits. So she'd pushed Richard into riskier plays, even after the crypto bust. And Sarah, Evelyn's mole, paid to seduce him, keep tabs, feed dirt back to the queen bee. My best friend, a paid plant. The betrayal? Bone deep. I confronted Sarah first. Tracked her to a spin class in Soho, all Lululemon and green juices. Waited outside, rain slicking my hair into rat tails. She emerged, flushed and glowing, earbuds in, until I yanked one out. Gemma? Oh God. I stammered, eyes darting for escape. I held up my phone. Jax's metadata dump glowing. Wire transfers from Evelyn's Shell account to Sarah's Venmo. $5,000 a month. For what? Being a good little spy. She crumbled right there on the sidewalk. Tourist gawking. It wasn't like that. Evelyn cornered me, said if I didn't, she'd blacklist me from the street.
Lies.
Half-baked. But the kicker, Richard. He chose me.
Gemma.
Said you were too intense.
Too.
Everything. Intense. Code for not controllable. I laughed. Bitter as battery acid. Tell him I said congrats on the upgrade. Walked away. Her sobs chasing me into the subway maw. Word spread. Whispers in alumni groups. Blind items in Dealbreaker. Is Gemma Hale's reckoning? Richard escalated. Hired PIs to dig my dirt. Found my student loans. My one-night stands from Tinder. Leaked a doctored expense report claiming I'd padded my own reimbursements. Smear campaign. Vintage Evelyn. But I countered, anonymous tip to the Journal, framing it as internal whistleblower exposes gender bias at Hale. Her secretary quip went viral. Secretarygate trending with memes of me as Rosie the Riveter torching boardrooms. The tension coiled tighter. Firm holiday party loomed, black tie at the Rainbow Room. All crystal and crooners. Invitation arrived by courier. Gold embossed. Gemma. Let's bury the hatchet.
Bait.
I RSVP'd yes. Slipped into a crimson gown that hugged like sin. Diamonds borrowed from Carla's vault. Jax as my plus one. Looking sharp in a bespoke suit hiding his anarchist soul. The room hummed with forced cheer, colleagues averting eyes. Champagne flutes clinking like nervous ticks. Richard spotted me first. Across the dance floor. Tux straining over his paunch. Gemma, he boomed, weaving through suits. Evelyn on his arm like a vice grip. Her smile? Shark-toothed. Darling. You clean up nice. Still slinging spreadsheets. I sip my Veuve. Let the bubbles burn. Actually, Evelyn.
I'm slinging lawsuits.
And truths. Jax hovered. Phone discreetly recording. Richard blanched. This isn't the place. But I pressed. When is? Richard? When you fucked my best friend on my desk. Or when you let me tank for your screw-ups. Gasps rippled. Evelyn's facade cracked, nails digging into his arm. You jealous little bitch. He was slumming with you. Slumming. The word hung. Toxic. Jax tensed, but I waved him off. Jealous? Of a marriage built on fraud?
No.
Thanks. But the clients? The board? They'll love hearing how you two laundered kickbacks through your charity galas. Proof flashed on my phone, Evelyn's emails. Sarah's confessions transcribed. The room froze. Forks midway to lobster thermidor. That's when the real drama ignited. Richard lunged, not violent. Just desperate, grabbing my wrist. Gemma. Please. For old times. Evelyn shoved him off. Hissing. You idiot. She's bluffing. But she wasn't sure. Her eyes flicked to the exits. Calculating flight paths. Jax hit send. Dumps auto-forwarding to every XX inbox. See seat to the Times. Chaos.
Shouts.
A waiter dropped a tray. Crystals shattering like illusions. Security swarmed, but not before Richard collapsed into a chair. Face ashen. Why, he wheezed. I leaned in, voice low. Because you made me your scapegoat. And America's tired of women like me cleaning up men's messes. I left them there. Evelyn dialing lawyers. Richard staring into his scotch like it held absolution. Outside. Times Square pulsed, neon assault. Cabbies honking anthems. Jax grinned. That was metal. But as we melted into the crowd, doubt gnawed. Had I gone too far? Innocents would lose jobs. Analysts like me.
Once.
Sarah's career. Torched. Even Richard, for all his sins, had a kid in boarding school who'd hear the whispers. Revenge tastes sweet, but it lingers like regret. The morning after the Rainbow Room implosion, my inbox was a war zone. Resignations from mid-level suits who'd hitched their wagons to Richard's star. Client exodus emails. Polite but panicked, due to recent developments. By noon, the SEC issued a formal inquiry. My anonymous tips had landed like precision strikes. Carla called. Voice electric. They're offering $8 million to settle.
Gemma.
And an apology video from Evelyn herself. Say the word. I pace my Brooklyn kitchen. Coffee going cold. The East River a gray smear beyond fire escapes. Apology? From that ice queen? Tempting. But hollow.
No.
I wanted the scalp. Push for 10, I told Carla. and immunity for any consultants who flip. Like Sarah. She texted at 3 a.m. Gemma, I'm sorry. Meet. Desperation. Or trap. I agreed. Neutral ground. A greasy spoon in Midtown where the waitresses call you Han, and the eggs come with a side of indifference. She arrived late. Makeup caked over puffy eyes. Still in last night's sequins under a trench coat. Slid into the booth. Hands trembling around a mug of sludge. I didn't know about the full extent, she started. Voice a whisper shout. Evelyn. She recruited me after your affair went south. Said Richard was toxic. That I'd be doing the firm a favor. Bullshit. I'd seen the Venmo trails, weekly deposits starting months before our breakup. But I let her spin. Nodding like therapy. The kid, she blurted finally.
Richardson. Tommy.
He's why I stayed. Evelyn threatened to cut his tuition if I bailed.
Tommy.
The golden boy. 16 and sheltered at Exeter. Oblivious to daddy's games. I'd met him once. Awkward family barbecue on the Cape. Gangly. Brace's glinting smile. Asking me about stock picks like I was his cool aunt. My gut twisted. Was Sarah's complicity maternal instinct gone wrong? Or just another lie? Tell me everything, I said, sliding my phone across the Formica, recorder app glowing. She hesitated, then spilled. Evelyn's web, shell companies in the Caymans. Funneled through fake art auctions at her galas. Richard as frontman. Sarah as honey trap to distract him from audits. And me, the patsy. You are too loyal, Sarah said. Tears carving mascara rivers. That's why they picked you to fall.
Loyal.
The word burned. I'd covered for Richard's benders. Lied to regulators about modeling errors that were deliberate pumps. Once, during a bear market dip, I'd ghostwritten his suicide note. A fake email trail suggesting he jumped if the trades tanked, to invoke sympathy clauses in investor contracts. Morbid shit. Straight out of a Scorsese flick. All to protect the machine. And for what? A pat on the head and secretary material barbs. I let Sarah go with a warning. Testify. Or the dumps go public with your name starred. She nodded, fleeing into the drizzle. Victory? Tasted like ash. Jax texted. Servers wiped clean. What's next?
Boss. Boss.
Ironic. We met at his loft in Bushwick. Exposed brick and server racks humming like a heartbeat. He was sprawled on a futon. Laptop balanced on knees. Energy drinks sweating rings on the floor. You look wrecked, he said. Not unkindly. Wrecked is the new black. I collapsed beside him. Stealing a sip, monster. Green and chemical. We scrolled the breach, Evelyn's private folder. Labeled contingencies. Inside, not just fraud docs. Photos. Me and Richard. Grainy shots from a PI, motel rooms in Jersey. His brownstone balcony. Blackmail fodder she'd held. Never used.
Why?
Leverage. To keep me silent. Or him in line. And, deeper, medical files. Richard's prostate cancer diagnosis. Stage 3. Dated a year back. He'd hidden it. Doped on painkillers for those all-nighters. Explains the shakes. The erratic calls. Humanizes the bastard. Just enough to complicate my hate. Jax whistled. Twisted. You leaking this? I shook my head. Not yet. The suit dragged on, depositions in a fluorescent-lit conference room off Wall Street. Air thick with stale coffee and cologne. Richard first, suit hanging loose on his frame. Chemo gaunt. Gemma. I never meant lies. His lawyer cut in, slick as Vaseline. Evelyn next, perched like a falcon, denying everything. Delusional ex-employee, she sneered. Jealousy's a hell of a drug. But her eyes flickered when I slid over Sarah's prelim statement. The board turned. Emergency meeting called. Hail execs. Gray suits sweating under my glare via Zoom. We're spinning off, the CFO stammered. Clean break from Richard. Him, suspended pending investigation. Evelyn, stripped of board seat. Her philanthropy arm audited. Schadenfreude surged, hot and validating. But as I left the depot, phone buzzed. Tommy's school. MS. Rivers, Tommy Hales in crisis. Attempted. Self-harm. Says it's about his father.
Fuck.
I drove upstate, rain lashing the Prius like judgment. Exeter's campus, ivy-clad dorms, quads manicured as golf greens. Tommy in the infirmary, wrist bandaged, eyes hollowed by private school polish cracking. And Gemma, he croaked, like old times.
He said,
holding his good hand. Your dad's sick.
Kid.
And messed up. But it's not on you, he sobbed then. The dam breaking. Mom said it's my fault, the money stress. That if I wasn't so expensive. Evelyn's venom. Seeping down. I rocked him, murmuring Wall Street fables twisted into hope. Markets crash. But they rebound. Left with a promise. I'll fix this.
How?
No clue. But the kid's pain? Collateral I hadn't tallied. Back in the city, resolve hardened. Jax and I escalated, deepfake scrubbed. We fed curated leaks to ProPublica. Inside Hale, a family empire built on deceit. Hit newsstands digital. Evelyn's face on the byline pic. Mid-gala, smirk frozen. Twitter, X. Whatever, exploded. Hale heist trending. Feminists cheering my takedown. Finance bros decrying witch hunt. Polarizing. Just like I'd engineered. Carla crowed. Settlement at 12. And Richard's out. But the call came at dawn. Richard. From a hospital in White Plains.
Gemma.
It's bad. The cancer spread.
Pause.
Ragged breath. Come see me, please. Trap or truth? I went. Room sterile. Beeping monitors a dirge. He looked skeletal, tubes snaking like accusations. I loved you, he rasped. In my way. The affair. Evelyn forced it. To test you.
Test.
Like I was lab rat. I gripped the rail. Knuckles white. You let me burn for your greed. He nodded. Tears tracking. Forgive.
No.
But as I left, pity stirred unwanted. Complicating. Sarah testified that week. Immunity granted. Her words gutted. Gemma was the real brains. We used her.
Jury, er.
Judge, lean my way. Verdict, LPIUP. Richard pleads to felony wire fraud. Evelyn fought dirty to the end. Last gambit. Countersuit. Claiming defamation. Me as disgruntled paramour. Filed in family court. Dragging Tommy's name through mud. I countered with the photos, her blackmail cash. Turned against her. Dropped like a guillotine. She folded. Settlement signed in a notary's office smelling of ink and defeat. The climax? Not court. A private dinner. My terms, Richard's brownstone. Evelyn present. Jack's outside in the van. Comms live. They waited in the dining room. Crystal gleaming under chandelier glow. Richard frail in cashmere. Evelyn armored in pearls. Gemma, she started. Voice honeyed poison. Let's end this.
He said.
Unfolding linen like a flag of truce. End or confess. Out came the drive, final dump. Tommy's tuition slush fund exposed.
Her face blanched.
You wouldn't. For him? Watch me. Richard interjected. Enough. It's over.
Ev.
The firm's gone. Our life.
Breakdown.
She hurled a wine glass. Shard skittering, not at me. At him. You weak fuck. I built this. The fight spilled. Accusations flying. Evelyn admitting the cancer cover-up to keep him trading. Richard confessing he'd greenlit Sarah to balance our thing. Gray as fog. I recorded it all. Silent witness. Left them shattered. Door clicking shut on their empire's tomb.
Outside.
Jax. Holy shit. You okay?
No.
But free.
The twist?
Months later. Tommy reached out college-bound. Scholarship in hand from my whistleblower fund donation. Thanks. Aunt G. Dad's in remission.
Mom's.
Changed. Therapy. Or facade. Rumors swirled. Evelyn pivoting to victim advocate, penning a tell-all. Richard? Consultant gig in Dubai. Sarah ghost.
Me?
Partner at a women-led firm in Tribeca. View of the bridges. Revenge won. But the mirror shows scars, trust torched, nights haunted by what-ifs. Was I avenger or destroyer? Readers, hell. You decide. In America, justice is a debate, not a verdict. And I'm still standing, heels planted firm on the street's cracked pavement. Wait. No, that's not the end. I thought closing the door on the brownstone would seal it. But revenge, like the market, has aftershocks. The settlement wired through 12 mil, minus Carla's cut and taxes, leaving me flush but fidgety. First splurge? Not a penthouse or Prada Hall. A down payment on a co-op in Ditmas Park. Brooklyn, Victorians with gingerbread trim. Yards big enough for a dog that doesn't shed on spreadsheets. Normalcy.
Or so I told myself.
Jax helped move boxes. His truck bed sagging under my life in cardboard. Books on behavioral econ. That stress ball liberty I'd chucked across the old office in rage. Nice digs, he said, wiping sweat, surveying the porch swing I'd score on Craigslist. Villain arc complete? I punched his arm.
Light.
Hero with a body count. We cracked beers.
Feet up.
Watching kids on scooters weave the avenue. For a night. It felt like absolution. Wind chimes tinkling. Grill smoke from neighbors' barbecues, wafting like peace offerings. But dawn brought the call. ProPublica follow-up. Gemma. Off record. Evelyn's pitching a podcast. Betrayed by the boardroom. You the villain?
Villain.
The word stuck like gum on Louboutins. I hung up, stared at my reflection in the half-unpacked mirror, crow's feet deepening. That post-40 glow dimmed by fluorescence. Had I overplayed? The leaks saved the firm from total collapse. Spin-off thrived under new blood, but jobs vaporized.
Felicidade Mantura.
Now baristas at Starbucks on wall. Sarah's blacklisted. Last ping from a temp agency in Jersey. And Tommy? Thriving. Sure. But therapy bills stacking. Evelyn's doing, twisting narratives to paint me as the homewrecker who torched families for clicks. I dove back in, freelance gigs turning full-time at Vega Partners, a scrappy outfit run by ex-Goldman she-wolves. Glass walls, no mahogany egos, deals closed over oat milk lattes and brutal honesty. Rivers, my new boss, Lena, said on day one, "We heard about Hale." Ballsy. Don't pull that shit here. Warning or welcome. In this town, it's both. I thrived modeling ethical trades, mentoring juniors on red flags. But the past? It stalked like a margin call. Jax and I, complicated. Our thing started as revenge foreplay, hacks turning to hookups in his loft, code compiling into tangled sheets. "You're my chaos agent," he'd murmur, tracing tattoos on my hip. But post-Hale, the thrill faded. He wanted out Silicon Valley startup. Equity dreams. "Come with," he asked over ramen in Williamsburg, steam curling like questions. I shook my head. "I'm street poison now. Need to detox." We parted messy, no scene, just a last kiss tasting of sriracha and goodbye. Solitude suited me. At first. Mornings jogging the promenade. Hudson glittering like fool's gold. Evenings with true crime pods. Dissecting white-collar wolves, irony not lost. But Evelyn's shadow lengthened. The podcast dropped, Empire of Lies, hosted from her retreat in the Berkshires. Episode 1 Me. Painted as ambitious harpy. Sleeping up for scraps. Gemma Rivers wasn't loyal, she purred. Voice velvet over venom. She was opportunistic. Destroyed lives for a headline. Clips went viral. Team Evelyn hashtags from tradwife influencers decrying feminist overreach. Pushback hit hard. I lawyered up again. Cease and desist on the lies. Sarah's testimony as Exhibit A. But courts move molasses low. And the court of public opinion? Jury's out. Late-night scrolls. Think pieces debating was Gemma right? Substacks calling it the revenge economy, where whistleblowers become celebrities. Then cautionary tales. One viral thread. She exposed fraud but ruined a family. Hero or hubris? Hubris.
Ouch.
Sleepless. I'd wander to the co-op's kitchen. Brew chamomile that tasted like defeat. That's when the letter started. First, anonymous. Postmarked Scarsdale. You think you're justice? My husband's job gone. Kids hungry because of your truth. More followed. Emails from laid-off admins. Pleading for references I couldn't give. Guilt gnawed. A traitor's ulcer flaring. Had I aimed at the head and hit the heart? The turning point, Tommy's graduation invite. Columbia. My alma mater, ironic homecoming. Aunt G. The card read. His scrawl boyish still. Dad's coming. Mom too. Truce. I debated shredding it. But went. Low Country Hall. Low Library's rotunda echoing with cheers. Tommy in cap and gown. Beaming amid econ nerds. Hugs. Then the awkward tableau. Richard. Thinner but upright. Cane and grip, Evelyn. Botox fresh. Smile practiced. Gemma, he said, extending a hand. Frail, but genuine. Proud of the kid? We talked, stilted, about remission rates.
Tommy esthésie ont été calai.
Evelyn hovered. Then, water under the bridge? Her eyes. Appraising again. I nodded. Civil. But as flashes popped for family pics, she leaned in. You won.
Dear.
But at what cost?
Cost.
The word echoed on the drive home. 95 snaking through Jersey Barrens. Pulled over at a rest stop. Dawn breaking bloody. Flipped on the radio. NPR on the podcast boom. Evelyn's rating spiking. Rage bubbled. Old friend. Called Jax. Voicemail. Valley treating you? Then. Impulse. Texted an old contact at the Journal. Got dirt on Evelyn's retreat. Came in ties. Still active. Leak 2.0. Dropped mid-commencement season. Exhale wife's philanthropy, a front for offshore havens. Her podcast tanked overnight. Sponsors fleeing like rats from a short. Backlash swift, cancellations. IRS audits. She countersued, but this time, with Tommy's affidavit. Leave my mom alone.
Kid's plea. Public.
I halted the presses. Damage done, but soul-searching acute. Summer haze settled. Brooklyn sticky with regret. Met Lena for drinks at a rooftop in Dumbo. Manhattan spires mocking across the water. You're burning out, she said, stirring her Negroni. Hail was war. This is peace, claim it.
Wise.
I scaled back leaks. Focused on Vega, led a green fund. ESG plays that actually helped solar startups in the Bronx. Not just photo ops. Jax visited once. Awkward beers on my porch. Miss the chaos?
Nah.
This is better. We didn't rekindle, but parted friends his startup funded. My number saved for emergencies. Fall brought harvest. Tommy's thank you. A vintage watch from Richard's collection. For the fund, note read. And for showing me strength. Evelyn? Crickets. Then a letter, handwritten.
No close.
I was wrong. About everything. Therapy's a bitch. Truce.
Tentative.
Sarah resurfaced. Barista gig in Queens. Kid on the way. Richards? Unclear. Coffee on me? We met. Neutral. No recordings. Forgave? Not fully. But listened. The real twist landed Christmas Eve. Richard's relapse call. Hospice. This time. I went. Alone. Snow blanketing the city like absolution. He was lucid. Morphine soft.
Gemma.
The truth? You were always the best of us. Confession spilled. Evelyn's schemes started pre-me. A marriage of convenience turned cage. My loyalty, his lifeline, squandered. Tell Tommy I tried. Died at dawn. Monitors flatlining to carols on the radio. Funeral. Gray skies over woodlawn. Evelyn stoic in black. Tommy shattered. Eulogy mine. Unasked. Richard Hale was flawed, a man who chased horizons. Sometimes over cliffs. But he taught me, redemption's not in boardrooms. It's in the climb back. Murmurs. Nods. Evelyn approached after. Grip firm. Well played. No warmth. But respect, hard won. Now, Vega thrives. Me at the helm of impact investing. Podcast? Mine. Street reckonings, not vengeance. But lessons. Listeners debate episodes. Was the leak ethical? Comments flood. Team Gemma. Team Nuance. No clear winners. Just conversations. Revenge? Delivered. But the bill came due. In doubts. In distances. A happy ending? Depends. In America, we rewrite scripts. One trade at a time. And mine? Still open. But endings? They're illusions. Like bull markets that never crash. 6 months post-funeral. The Hale spinoff, rebranded Apex Capital, courted me for a board seat. Your insight's gold, the interim CEO emailed. A bro from my Goldman days. Help us rebuild ethical. Irony thick as fog on the Verrazano. I declined, too haunted by ghosts, but consulted freelance, auditing their ledgers for lingering rot. Clean. Mostly. Evelyn's touch eradicated. Her retreat shuttered by liens. Tommy thrived, interned at Vegas summer 26. Sharp as his old man, but kinder. Angie, he'd say over lunch trucks in Fide. Falafel wrappers crunching. You showed me families, not blood. It's choice. Profound.
Kid.
Made the scars itch less. Sarah? Delivered a girl. Named her after me, Gemma Elise. Twisted. Right? She laughed at the baptism brunch in her tiny Astoria walk-up. Balloons bobbing like hesitant truces. I held the baby, tiny fist clutching my finger, and something thawed. Not twisted. Full circle. Jax? Valley success story. Unicorn status. TED Talk on hacking inequality. Flew in for my birthday. Bottle of Napa Cab, and that grin. Still chaos-free? We walked the High Line. Railside weeds whispering. City hum below. Chaos chose peace, I said. Hooked up one last time. Nostalgic.
Nostrines.
Morning after. He left with a wink. Call if you crash. I didn't, but smiled. The controversy reignited spring 27. Evelyn's tell-all dropped. Throne of Thorns. Ghostwritten. Glossy. Her as wronged warrior. Me the ruthless upstart who toppled thrones for clicks. Sales spiked. Book tour from coast to coast. Reviews split. Vanity Fair hailed it bracing feminist revenge lit. Bloomberg called it vindictive fiction. I ignored. Mostly. But when she hit NYC 92nd Street Y. Sold out, I bought a ticket. Back row. Incognito in ball cap and shades. She took the stage. Poised as ever. Hair swept into a chignon that screamed survivor. Q&A flowed. On betrayal. On power. Then, Gemma Rivers? A fan. Voice piping. Thoughts.
Pause.
Her gaze swept the crowd. Landing nowhere. Gemma was formidable. We both played the game. She won the battle. I'm writing the war. Applause. Nuanced.
Post talk.
She signed books. Line snaking. I waited.
Last.
MS. Hail, I said, sliding my copy, ironic gift from Tommy. She looked up, pen poised. Recognition flickered, then steel. Come to gloat.
No.
To read. Silence. Charged. Why now? I shrugged. Closure's a myth. But understanding? Currency. She signed. To Gemma, may our thorns bloom.
Ev.
Handed it back. Eyes locking. Truce. Then, truce. Walked out into May bloom. Central Park greening defiant. Books stayed unread for weeks. Then one rainy night, co-op fire crackling. Merlot decanted. Her words, raw. Unfiltered. Admitted manipulations. The cancer cover to protect the brand. Painted Richard as pawn. Me as mirror. Ambition unchecked. Twist. She'd envied me. The self-made without silver spoons. Gemma had fire I faked. Vulnerable. Humanizing the viper. Debate raged anew. Podcasts dissecting. X threads fracturing. Evelyn's redemption arc fake? Gemma's silence complicity. I joined one. My Reckonings episode. Villains and victims, gray areas of the street. Guests, Sarah. Reformed, a shrink on betrayal trauma. Listeners flooded. You both right. Both wrong. Polarizing perfection. Summer 27. Vega went public. IPO bells ringing at NASDAQ. Confetti like ticker tape parades of yore. Me on the balcony, flanked by Lena and juniors. Champagne popping. Cameras flashed. Headlines crowed. From Hale whistleblower to Wall Street winner. But the real win? Backstage. Tommy hugging. Proud. Aunt G. Evelyn sent flowers. White lilies. No card.
Sarah toasted via FaceTime.
Baby cooing. Jax texted fireworks emoji.
Yet.
The lingers. Dark corners where doubt whispers. Did my revenge heal or haunt? Save lives or shatter them? Tommy's therapy. Sarah's struggles. Richard's grave. Costs tallied in quiet hours. But tension? It's fuel. America's pulse. Dramatic. Disputed. Ever climbing.
Now.
Fall 28. Boardrooms beckon. But I choose selectively. Podcast thrives. Book deal linked. Quitting day. A Wall Street reckoning. Twist ending. Life's not scripted. Mine's open volume. Pages flipping with each trade. Each truce. Readers. You judge. Hero's journey or cautionary crash. In this city of dreamers and schemers. The debate's the dividend. And I'm cashing in, one controversial step at a time. Epilogue whisper. Last week. Evelyn called. Coffee.
We met NATRL.
A cafe in NoHo. Steam rising like smoke signals. Talked grandkids, hers pending. Markets volatile. Regrets plentiful.
No apologies.
Just nods. As we parted, her parting shot. You made me better.
Gemma.
Hate to admit. I smiled. Ditto. Secretary material? We both were queens. Fade out on that. Tension easing to twilight glow. Revenge served. But grace? The real payoff.